So, Serge, as you know, I work as a general surgeon and have been trained in a particular way of understanding the body and illness and disease and health and healing. And I think sometimes within medicine we can get a bit restricted in how we understand these things, just coming from within a particular paradigm. And it can be helpful, I feel, to also consider other ways of understanding the body and illness and disease, and hopefully expand our whole understanding of medicine. So I'm interested to hear some of your understandings as an esoteric practitioner around these topics. So when I did my training at a particular way of understanding the body, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, but how do you as an esoteric practitioner understand the body and the relationship with illness and disease?
Yeah, the body needs to be understood as a living energy, and it's a living energy that is forever seeking a certain point, a certain point of evolution that is afforded by evolution itself. In other words, it's given a point to arise to, and it's always pulling towards that point. And we need to start understanding physiology, anatomy, and the physical human being from the perspective of that point, pulling us towards its arise or evolution or expansion. And where we don't meet, where we don't flow, what energetically we call that a correction. And the conventional model that you're very well trained in calls that illness and disease. And look, we have a very, very good model. As you know, I'm very pro-medicine, which is why you are sitting in front of me and not dismissing me as a lunatic. Mm. And it's a very sensible approach, and I'm very pro with. We can't do without it. It's a fact, but it's clearly not enough, and that's also part of the equation that we have to bring in. We have to bring in the fact that we have the most amazing advances in medical science, in the conventional model, but it's still not enough from the point of view of the rate of people being diagnosed. So we have the best solution of all time, and we need it given the situation that humanity is in, but we certainly don't have the answers. And so we have to drop our pride, we have to drop our defenses, we have to drop our so-called self-imposed authority and sit together on a table of consideration and ask the questions of what is truly going on. And so if somebody from left field comes in and sits at the table and says, look guys, there's an energetic perspective we need to look at. E equals mc squared is not just a physics equation or a scientific equation. It tells us something about life, and it tells us that everything is energy. And in 1999 I came along and said, thank you Albert Einstein, you gave us E equals mc squared, that translates to everything is energy. And I came along and said, therefore everything is because of energy. So we have to start incorporating the factor of energy being behind anything that is what we call a problem. If it's a tumor, if it's a ganglion, if it's whatever it is, we have cancer, whatever
diabetes.
it is, diabetes, whatever it is, we have to go, okay, we have very good solutions for diabetes, but what we're not addressing is why. Why are we getting diabetes? What is the energetic disposition that is allowing the physiology of the person to become diabetic or become cancerous or get heart disease? And this is when we open up the energetic equation, we start to open up the possibilities that humanity are not exploring or are protecting certain lifestyle choices that are contributing to the factors. And this is where the difficulty comes in.
There's certainly much more understanding now coming in within medicine and science in terms of the role of our lifestyle in illness and disease manifestation. So things like smoking, drinking, diet, exercise, and so forth. But would you perhaps share some of how you would take that a little bit further? That it's maybe not just about smoking, drinking, exercise, that there's a bigger picture to understand behind that.
Yeah, look, the model that I've been presenting isn't opposing of medicine in any way, shape or form, as you know, Eunice, very well. You know my teachings inside out and know me well enough on a personal level to know that I'm very, very pro-medicine. So I don't need to keep qualifying that. But the reason I bring it up is to say that to stop smoking and to pick up another habit that is not smoking, but equally is energetically impacting on the body, is actually not a health promotion. It's not an advance on somebody's health. And so we're targeting the obvious enemies. And we could say, if you've got a liver condition, stop drinking alcohol. If you've got lung condition, etc., don't smoke, don't cigarettes, etc., etc. But these are just obvious correlations. All we're doing is going to the end result and then working our way back to the possible opposition, the possible cause. But why did someone decide to drink alcohol, which is a poison in the body? Why did someone intelligent decide to drink alcohol when we know it's a poison for the body? These are the factors that have to come in. Why are we choosing self-abusive behaviors? And that is a totally different form of medicine. And it's actually exciting for us to explore the possibilities of what medicine truly means beyond this model that we currently hold so dear. And what I've been saying for a long time is let's expand the sphere, let's expand the word medicine and call it life. I mean, life is medicine is one of my catchphrases, as you know. Medicine is life, life is medicine. And that's where we need to take the conversation, to understand that the human being is a living, ever-evolving science. And we need to understand exactly what that science is and not pin it down to a laboratory. Because in effect, we don't live in a laboratory, we don't live in cages, we can't be studied in the confines of a room because we roam, we dwell, we interact. And you can't have 7 billion rats in a cage to understand what humanity is like. That would be, for me, the only laboratory experiment that truly represents at least some semblance of the human race. But if you have 200 rats, I'm sorry, that's not enough. We have to have 7.2 billion or whatever our population is. And I'm being a little bit silly here, but at the same time, pointing out the shortfalls of the approaches that we have had to try and understand humanity, when in fact, humanity can only be understood by the livingness, in other words, by the exactness of their entire movements, and that in itself is a science.
So you mentioned about how the current rates of illness and disease in the world, and certainly I see that in my practice and the intensity that there is, and we know that people are coming with multiple conditions and multiple unexplained symptoms and things like that. What would you say specifically that perhaps we're missing in medicine? What is the key ingredient that we have perhaps overlooked that, if we were to include, could make a huge difference to our whole practice of conventional medicine?
Look, I can't find fault in conventional medicine because, as you know, I'm a supporter. It's not that it is at fault as it is. It's just that it's a sphere that is not big enough. It needs to be expanded to understand the living nature of human being, of being human. And people are going to the doctor and saying, please fix me. But there is no responsibility in this model that says, well, sir, why did you do that to yourself for the last 15 years? Sure, we may have to amputate. Sure, we can remove that scar. Sure, we can give you a cream, an ointment to remove that rash, etc. But surely, sir, madam, you can at least stop consuming that product that is obviously not tolerated by the body, etc., etc. We are living in a way that is anti-medicine and then going to medicine to try and get fixed.
So what then, in terms of healing, when I was training, there was the understandings of wound healing and bone healing, and healing was about getting rid of symptoms and removing conditions and things like that. But what's your understanding of healing?
The understanding of healing that I have is based on the fact that before there can be any wrong or ill, there has to be an energy that's producing it. And so it's about understanding that we need to shift the energy. The good thing about us is that we are naturally free of an energy that will produce an ill. So when we have an illness, it's an energy that we have taken on that is actually not part of our natural system. And so it's easy to understand. It's not rocket science. It's actually very easy. And then understanding the body energetically is a different matter. We need to understand that that in itself is a science, so that we can go to the body and help the person assist themselves to remove the energy that's actually causing the ill. The great thing about this on a bigger scale is that if I do my part and I put my hands, say, in your care as a surgeon, then you have a greater capacity to do what you do, because energetically my body is now no longer fighting you. So if I bring myself, say, with appendicitis or something else that you have to do, but I haven't changed my wayward behavior that caused the appendicitis, then not only are you dealing with the possible rupture, poison, etc., and getting rid of my appendix, you're also dealing with the energetic momentum of a person who is not willing to change what caused the problem in the first place. And look, I know I can't prove it scientifically from what science is today, but from my science, that sets up the surgeon to have more possible complications. And as a result of those complications, the surgeon gets the blame. Insurance goes up, there's litigation, there's problems in the hospital, everyone has to duck for cover, it becomes a medical legal case. There's other complications, and all it was is a very simple appendicitis that could have been avoided by perhaps a better lifestyle. Who knows? The situation is the fact that we have to look at the bigger picture.
And so it's clear in what you're saying that you're bringing a bigger level of responsibility to the way that we're living, and realizing that the way that we live has a significant effect in terms of the conditions that we have. Some of the criticisms that I've heard about that is it's saying that you're blaming people for having the conditions that they have. How would you respond to that?
It's about being mature about the conversation. If you say to someone, your lifestyle is leading you to be ill, that's not blaming them. That's asking them to be responsible. To me, it's a very loving gesture to say to someone, hey, if you keep that up, you're going to end up sick. Doctors can say that as well. Don't change your behavior, you're going to end up being sick. We can say to someone, hey, if you don't stop your behaviors, you're going to end up in jail. That's not blaming someone. That's a warning. It's a portent. It's an important situation that it's our responsibility to help somebody along the way. So it's not blaming someone, and it's not blaming someone to say, hey, look, that's karma. This is what's occurred. It's saying to someone, change it. You now know what is there before you. There's a behavior there. No one's judging you for it. They're just helping you see it. Change it.
So through universal medicine, you've brought through a number of healing modalities to assist people with healing. How do they work? How do they, in terms of helping people to understand what it is they do and the benefit or that can arise from having esoteric modalities or esoteric healing?
Yeah, the therapies that I've brought through, about 7 of them now since 1999, are designed to actually help conventional medicine. They're designed to help treat what the conventional treatments that are out there, allopathic medicine, etc., and associated health practitioners are not actually addressing. So we're looking at surrendering, we're looking at treating anxiousness from a different point of view. We're asking people to connect more to their bodies. We're asking people to understand that through connection comes a lot more self-loving choices. That once you embody yourself and connect more deeply to your own body, you'll be much more likely to look after it and not treat it as if it's an appendage that sticks at the southern end of your head. Because a lot of people live with the body as just an appendage that just seems to walk around with them, that they're just a brain and that they're just people making choices. And this thing that is attached is just something that you can dump whatever into it. But you actually walk around with your body, you have to sleep with it, you make love with it, you take it around wherever you go. And that has to be looked after. And it's not just about your choices, it's about how you treat the body.
That's certainly one of the things that I've taken away from doing the work with universal medicine, is the emphasis on the body and the importance of listening to your body. Can you say something more about that?
Yeah, look, our body has its own intelligence. It's very, very clever. It's very, very smart. And it equals the highest intelligence we could ever understand. It doesn't talk as in it communicates like we think the brain does. But me talking right now is actually speaking from my body. So I have a different place I understand intelligence to come from. So I'm very embodied and very calm within my body. And we could say it's Pythagorean by nature or by tradition, in the sense that it's cardiocentric, in other words, heart-based. But to me, it's actually more than that, because once I connect to my heart, once I connect to the love that I am and to the tender gentleness that I am, in that instance, I see everybody the same. And I don't see myself as being having to protect myself against other people. I don't judge. There's a beauty and an embracing of everybody. And in that, my behavior naturally changes. And therefore, I want to look after my body much more, because it starts to feel worthy of being looked after. And that's a problem in itself. And our modalities help people understand that they have a worthiness, that there's a value to the body, that there's something there that is worth looking after deeply, and that with that comes the richness of what life can bring.